This time I'm laughing.
Okay, welcome to Reclaiming America. I got him this time. I'm Dan.
And I'm Bill.
He's the old guy. I'm the young one.
Yeah,
Well, that's factual. So.
Yeah, but just looks were everything. The man would be wearing a mask. But anyway,
Masks.
Hi everybody.
You want to talk about masks? Don't get me going.
Oh, here we go again.
By the way, quick side note. We didn't just plan this, but did you know they're now requiring masks again at the White House?
No, I did not.
Yes.
Well,
so recently, our boy Biden, your president, not mine, yours, was hosting various NCAA champions. And if you are not vaxxed, you have to wear a mask and social distance for 6 feet.
Well, the social distancing has been around for a while. That hasn't gone away. That's not going away.
And it doesn't work.
And people are actually doing it automatically on lines everywhere you go. They do. It's automatic at this point.
This is all in the last week or so.
Well, yeah, but you got to understand. You have a man there that's brain dead.
Okay, does he not have staff?
Brain dead.
Well, yeah. I mean, press secretary, enough said, right?
But yeah, my prime example. I rest my case.
I saw that, and I'm like, oh dear God, they're still doubling down on this.
Well, I'm going to give you another example of brain dead.
All right,
and it fits right into what we were talking before.
I think I know where you're going.
If you didn't hear it, our president,
your president, not ours,
the elected president of the United States,
and
debatable on that too. I agree with you. But the proposed, the certified elected president of the United States.
Oh, he's certifiable, yeah.
We're going to. This is going to be a good show.
Yeah.
We're on a roll. Has announced to the world that the United States is involved in the planning of building a railroad across the Pacific to the Indian Ocean. I can't wait to watch this one.
There's going to be one hell of a bridge.
Brains or dynamite, the man could not blow his nose.
You know, I think about like the Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Were they going to build little islands to connect to as they go?
Better than that, what are they going to do about all those storms that occasionally go through the Pacific?
Oh, there's no storms, Bill. What are you talking about?
Or the El Nino. Is it an El Nino that goes into the Pacific part of it?
Nino. Yeah, I know one does one thing, one doesn't. I don't know.
I guess it'll be El Nino.
It's a bunch of hot air and wind is all I know.
Yeah, but our man says he's building a railroad across the Pacific. You know,
I'm literally speechless on this.
Well, that's because he's brainless.
So
it kind of works together.
From L.A. to, say, Oahu, and then Oahu to where?
Well, he said into the Indian Ocean, so he's got to be.
Well, I'm assuming you're going to go to like Wake Island or Midway, and then from there over to Guam, Saipan, wherever.
You may swing by Australia.
Yeah, well, eventually you're going to get there, but you got to get to them first. Or maybe he's thinking you're going to go up through Alaska and over to that other country. Was it
the shortcut?
Russia.
The 12. I can see Russia from here. Russia,
and then from Russia down through. Was it North Korea? Is that other?
And then China.
And then China.
Yeah, I'm sure they would let us come through.
That's going to work.
China would definitely let you come through because they're so cooperative with everything they're doing now.
It just. And what was the reasoning for this?
For two reasons. First of all, economic reasons, and secondly, for the green movement.
Well, I was thinking the green one. Go ahead.
But no, that's all. That's what I just can't even go any further than that.
Because,
somehow it's going to make green energy and economic reasons. It's going to help build our nation because I guess when you're in a boat paddling across the Pacific, putting in pile drivings and nails to hold that thing together. I mean, there's an image there I just could not resist.
And windmills probably to go with it, but we won't go there. I had to. Sorry. You think about.
I'm not going.
The logic that they'll have. And I honestly don't know this, but I'm going to guess that their logic is that using ships is, not green because they pollute so bad, and they do. So you're going to put in trains, which pollute, which are going to run on electric probably, because that's probably their plan.
Yeah, but it's going to be one hell of a plug.
I was going to say.
That's going to be some extension cord.
I'm just thinking electricity over open bodies of water.
Windmill time.
You'd have to put a windmill, every mile, give or take?
Yeah, and then you long plugs and, but I saw something the other day, by the way, which I just loved that summed up the electrical issue. There was a fire dispatcher online and she's going, "Yes, sir, I know your house is on fire, but all our electric fire trucks are being charged and the plug right now."
Yeah, I've seen.
That was just perfectly said it.
There was a meme going around that. But
just works for me. So anyway,
Anyway, that was a fun little one.
that didn't plan on
little
going there.
side trip there.
Yeah,
Get
but
it?
we did well with it.
Get it? Side trip. Train.
Yes, I guess,
Work with me here.
I'm trying, and that's the problem. Very.
So, I want to discuss what probably everybody's discussing at this point. So, Mr. Trump was down in Florida on vacation. I'm being sarcastic. Happened to meet a few friends in the courtroom.
Yeah.
And basically got indicted again for the, I believe now, third time.
I think the man is going for Guinness records.
Well, yeah. And here's where I have a problem. Watching the response from various politicians.
Oh, the non-response?
Oh no, there's been response. One, Dan Crenshaw, for example, who is not supporting Trump. Well, if he committed a crime, blah, blah, blah. All right. I could name a few others, but
I do believe the law says innocent till proven guilty.
Innocent till
Did I
proven
remember
guilty,
that?
first
Is that
of
there
all.
somewhere in that Constitution?
But it just shows that they don't have the balls to come out and say, here's my viewpoint. Maybe he is guilty. We don't know. Doesn't matter either way in relation to this particular point. If they're going to go after him and indict him for this, Pence, Obama.
Pence has already come out and said he can't support him.
Well, where's Mikey's little indictment for his stuff that he had at his house or wherever it was?
Or the vice president, or the secretary of state.
Obama, or Clinton, both. Or...
Do you remember Clinton with his tapes?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, was it 79 or 80 tapes that he insisted were his?
So this is where I have the problem is, obviously, this is a political scheme, if you will.
Witch hunt?
Witch hunt, whatever term you want to use. And we're seeing the standard Republican response, Bill. There it was. I just quoted it.
Yeah, but I don't think that has an interesting problem with that, because your standard Republican response is now in the middle of a campaign, which changes things a little bit.
It does. Well, give me your viewpoint on that. Why does it change it? I know where you're going.
Because now you've got candidates, and lining up it could become an issue for whoever. So I can understand where some people are sitting back and saying, I want to see the results. I myself, look, if Trump's the nominee, I will vote for him. You understand that. But at this point, I'm old school. I would at least like to read what was there. And I will tell you, I had a guy grab me at the convention from the Hut Post, because the Hut used to be the Huffington Post, but now it's the Hut Post.
Oh, yeah, because the Huffington Post went
Right,
under.
because she left, so now it's the Hut Post. And he grabbed me during the convention, and he grabbed a friend of mine, one guy from Tender County. The two of us were together, and Josh and I started interviewing us about everything going on, and he got to the Trump indictment, and or the proposed indictment at that point, Saturday morning. And he goes, well, what do you think? Is he gonna? I said, I haven't read anything.
Yeah, we don't
I
know
am
anything.
not going out on a limb until I read it myself and get a chance to look at the law and see how it applies. So he was okay. Now, the funny thing was, we get that night, and no, it must have been Friday, because it was DeSantis evening, and we're gathering for DeSantis's presentation. And he happens to see me in the audience. He comes running over to me and goes, they released the tapes. They released the indictment. What do you think? I said, have I been busy? Did I get a chance to read it?
You were in the middle of a convention, yeah.
Yeah. Did I get a,
Well,
no,
you
I
should
didn't do a
be-
thing. So
that
he
should be
left
your
with his head
priority.
between his legs and just disappeared on us. But, one of these times it may stick. I mean, he's the Teflon Don for no good reason. But
We don't know in this case.
But I'll tell you what people misjudged him on, because if you saw a story that came out today, his lawyers were set, and they almost had a deal to shut this whole thing and just claim to something really like a misdemeanor and get it to go away. And he said, no, I want to be...
I think, he's looking at it as there's no such thing as bad publicity.
He's also looking, if you know Donald Trump, and I grew up watching Donald Trump from New York, Donald Trump would spend every dime he has to protect his name, and he will never take
back
a
down.
settlement that requires him to say he was guilty of anything. He will fight to the last bit of his ability, and they don't understand that.
I also think that they're misjudging this, they being the Democrats, and pushing this because they're turning him into a martyr. if let's say he is guilty, is found guilty, this is not going to happen in the next month or two. This is going to play out over months, potentially, let's say a year from now. He is the nominee. It goes to trial. He's found guilty, and whatever happens at that point. He is going to come off as a martyr at that point. See, because he's already using the spin. They want me gone. They'll do anything they have to. It's political persecution.
Yeah,
and he has a valid, even if he's guilty, he does have a somewhat valid point there.
Oh, I agree. No one's gone through the scrutiny this man's had in 4 years.
No one.
Nobody. Okay. But the issue there is, I think, from the Democratic viewpoint, they're looking for that to happen.
Martyr him?
Oh yeah, because they believe that enough people will be turned off, like in the last election, where those white suburban women walked away because they didn't want to handle all the scrutiny and the issues.
You're right there.
I didn't say it was going to happen. I said they believe.
Right. I agree there. Yeah, but I think they're miscalculating. It worked last time. Absolutely, it did. Look where we are now. I think those white suburban women are going, "What the f happened?" I think they're going to view it differently now. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're also betting on the fact, and again, this is just Democrats, not me talking, but there's been the average middle class conservative Republican or just Republican wants peace and quiet. They don't
absolutely.
They don't like all this constant turmoil. So,
I would even argue the middle does too, for the most part.
And I'll go with that too.
Yeah.
We were all, and we've said this before.
Yeah.
When my mom and dad raised me, and I was the older brother, it was not be fair. Give him what he wants, so I don't want to hear him anymore.
Your brand new toy, give it to him.
He gets to play with it first, because I want peace and quiet.
Right.
And we're much the same way. If he's causing too much noise, it could turn off a certain amount of people, and they will go to the next person, which may or may not be DeSantis, but he looks like the next poster boy.
If it's DeSantis, does things change at all?
Yeah, only because he's a polished Trump.
Oh, it'll change from what he does. I think the vitriol and the attacks will be the same.
Oh, no argument.
So then, again, you're trading Peter for Paul at that point. And let's say it's not DeSantis. Drop it down to Tim Scott, Haley, whoever it is, they're going to be the next target.
Well,
Trump's just...
Look, the best example of that was when McCain ran. He was the golden boy during that entire campaign.
Oh, yeah, because they wanted him.
They all wanted him to run till it was time to square off against the Democrat.
And then
he took a fall off Mount Olympus like you've never seen.
And then Romney was the other one.
Right.
And neither one of them should have ever put in that position.
But the problem is that the press was allowed to pick our candidates because they manipulated us in those directions. And that ain't happening anymore.
Well, what's interesting along those lines is I'm seeing the backlash on social media against this. And a lot of it is enough's enough with trying to indict him. People are getting sick of that. That's what I'm saying. They're counting on him doing something to turn the white suburban voter off.
One of the states just came out and dropped their prosecution indictments. I forget it. I want to say possibly Georgia or even New York, but they're backing off what they're doing because they don't see it's going to work.
My guess would be New York because there's actual legal experts like Alan Dershowitz, who I watch online a lot.
Yes, and he's a brilliant man.
He is anything but a far right winger.
No, it's true.
Quite the opposite. Has come out and said New York case has nothing. There's no legal ground to stand on. I trust his judgment over some reporter at Huffington Post or Vice or whatever.
Even CNN?
CNN is getting laughable now with their trying to pretend they're in the middle all of a sudden. I actually turned it on the other day. Because I still jump in.
Did you rub its leg or what?
Oh my God. Bill,
I just couldn't resist that one. Sorry, boss.
Go watch CNN for an hour.
Did you hear the numbers last month with
what
happened with MSNBC?
Yes.
And they beat Fox?
Well, Fox Bud Lighted themselves. That's a verb now, by the way. Bud Lighting.
Probably.
It has become a verb. My girl, Tulsi's used it, Bud Lighting. So it's now official.
Tulsi said it, so it's got to be true.
I mean, I like to periodically jump over to some of these other ones. I call it MSDNC. I will go. I've read Huffington, Vice is another one. They're all failing, every one of them financially. But you just see how. What I'm laughing about is how CNN is suddenly trying to seem like they're neutral, and they can't do it. They're trying. I give them credit for trying, but they literally cannot do it.
Well, they've got a whole bunch of territory to make up that they've lost.
Like, I was amused. I watched for roughly an hour, and I was cracking up the whole time. It was a comedy show. It's the best comedy show I've seen in probably 10 years. Just them, you can see it on their face. They say something, you know they don't believe it. And it's so obvious. And social media, though, you're starting to see what a force it's becoming. Because, like something, you were at the convention. I found out about Tom Tillis getting censured, from TikTok minutes
By a
after it
woman
happened.
who was there.
Minutes, Bill. And I don't even follow her. It went, not viral, but it started flying.
Well, I'm sure it did.
But it shows you the power of that. That word got out. That's why I texted you, hey, did this just happen? And then it just ran from there. Whereas I didn't hear about it on my local news till 3 days later.
And Tillis hasn't heard it yet.
I mean, I was like...
I'm still waiting for the senator to comment on that.
Because it happened, was it Saturday, I believe? That Saturday?
Yes, it did.
I think it was Tuesday morning. The local news did a little story on it.
And now the naysayers are coming back and saying, are you going to do that to everybody or just Tillis? Well, if we do it to everybody, we won't need anybody left.
Yeah, well, that's true, too. But, yeah, I didn't want to sidetrack us down that route. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
I'm sure we will.
And I'm going to have a different tack than you think. But it was just interesting to see that it got out that fast that way. And then see the response to it. Because, one, people started sharing and reposting it. So it just went, right? It shows you the power of social media.
And it also shows the power or the frustration of the people because they finally saw something happen and they made sure everybody knew it.
Look at the response. Mm-hmm. And is the Republican Party's leadership looking at that going, maybe we need to start thinking about doing stuff like this, or are we going to keep doing what we're doing? But it was just so interesting to me to see that. And there's been other things that you're starting to see that on. You know, it was the I don't know if he's a reverend pastor or whatever he was out near Asheville who went after the school board with the pornographic book.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That went viral. You're seeing more and more of that. I mean, it's amazing to me how powerful, this is a good and a bad thing, social media has become already, what it's going to be.
But that monster needs to be controlled before it becomes the second major issue we deal with. I mean, it doesn't do you any good if you turn loose another monster coming off from the seas.
The point, though, to that point, Bill, is that monster's already there. That's what the woke left has used.
They have created it.
They created it, and they are masters at using it.
And now they're seeing it turn on them.
And now, yes, that's my point, right. I've had a bunch of people just in the last week going, we shouldn't be using their tactics. We should keep doing, we should take the high road. And I'm like, no.
No. And from a military standpoint, you play the game you're dealt.
You get down in the mud. You get as dirty as they are, and you fight back. And then eventually...
Well, you know how to describe them? Tell them that's exactly what the Redcoats did in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
That did real well. While the rest of us followed the Indian tactics and whatever else, you had everybody standing there going, all right, it's time. You can't shoot officers because they're in charge. Yeah. And you don't want to break up the mob.
That'll lead to chaos if you shoot the officers. Screw that. Snipe their ass right off the horse.
Yeah, that's the first thing you take down.
They still do, right?
Oh yeah. And as a matter of fact, when you're in tank country, which I've trained in, you're looking for the tanks with two antennas.
Oh,
because those are the antennas that have the leadership in them because they work two bands. You have the band for the platoon and you have the band for the next level. So if it's got two antennas, you know that's a leadership tank, and you're going after it.
They have a new term for tanks, for Russian tanks. It's not tanks. It's like lighters
Coffins?
or something like that.
Coffins?
Because apparently the way they're designed, if you hit it, the turret will blow straight up because the ammunition's all around the turret.
The Russian tanks.
Yeah. The T-72s and 80s and all
Well,
that.
yeah.
It was actually pretty, I'll have to send it to you. It was pretty funny the way they were doing it. They were calling them something. I forget what it is. But basically, you know,
The
you go up-
popcorn cooker?
if you knock on the armor, poof, and they were doing like a little fun thing where a guy went up. They actually showed a Ukrainian soldier walking up to one and putting, I guess, C4 on it. How's that happen? Where the hell's the infantry?
Well, tanks are supposed to move with infantry, but you're also supposed to move in pairs, and each covers the other side,
was like-
at least.
Like
so someone's
literally
covered your-
watching
your
the video.
six.
The guy, I'm assuming it looked like a square thing. He literally walked up and attached it to the back of the tank and walked away and boom.
Well, you got to remember, in all tanks, the majority of the armor is in the front and the
I
bottom.
understand that, but the fact that he could walk up, and we're not talking woods, Bill. We were talking a field. It was hilarious. I mean, I actually felt bad for the people in the tank.
I'm sure coming out the top, they didn't
Because
feel
that
too good
baby
either.
went poof, but it was how it just shows you how bad Russian military is. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to
We're heading
Mr.
now,
Trump
sir.
a little bit.
Mr. Trump.
My next point on all this is obviously the DOJ has been weaponized. I mean, they'll deny that Merrick Garland is involved in some of the stuff he's doing. He hates the Republican Party for what they did to him, denying him the Supreme Court.
Which is one of the best things they ever did.
Yeah, you're seeing it with the various DAs that Soros backed. You're seeing it at all levels of government at this point. And to think that the Biden administration is somehow not pulling these strings, at what point does the fight back begin? All right, we are now in almost July. The House has been under Republican control since January. It's time to start bringing out quotes. I'm not advocating using an actual one, the stick.
Well, they've done. To be fair to them, there's 26 different investigations, inquiries going on now, where various issues with the Democrats and other ilk like them.
Pick one.
If you have the problem with picking one, you're dealing with Republicans. They want it all. They don't want one.
Thank you for making my point for me. They're waiting for the perfect
No, I'm not talking
opportunity.
about. I'm not talking about the Republican leadership now. I'm talking about the membership.
all of it.
They don't want one solution. They want it all at the same time.
That's to say it. But they're also waiting till they know they're guaranteed to win, because they won't take action if they
The
aren't
big
guaranteed.
thing that I'm looking for them right now to do is they are now should be putting their stuff together for the budget for next year, and I want to
You've
see how
talked
that
about
flows.
before.
And I want to see how that goes.
Still have
because
our bet going on that.
yes, I know you lose, but I like you anyway.
Look at, like, in the last week to 10 days, there's supposedly 17 tapes out there proving both Hunter and El Presidente.
You mean the
Biden.
$5 million each?
Yeah. I'm not saying, we don't know if those tapes are real or not. We don't. Legitimately, at this point, who knows? House needs to call hearings tomorrow and find out. And if they are, in fact, in existence, release them.
Are they not doing that?
I haven't seen a thing.
That doesn't mean they're not doing
Oh,
that.
Bill, stop it.
There are
Stop it.
26 investigations going on now.
Oh, no. They need to go public with. What would the Democrats do if it were reversed?
First of all, they'd call their friends in the media and then sit back and
So-
watch.
You and I both know. Let's use the New York indictment for Trump. We just talked about that. It's never going to hold up.
True.
Did they wait till they had all the evidence and all that?
But their purpose was different.
Yes.
You're looking to
Make
literally
noise.
take the the Biden family and hold them accountable for illegal activities that could affect the security of this country, and I absolutely agree with you. The purpose
no.
behind
That's not what I think we're doing. But
the
go ahead.
purpose behind what they're doing to Trump is to try and get him so he can't run for president. I guarantee you, if he announced tomorrow he's not running, all this goes away.
I think it would
and
shift,
you would find
I think it would
Biden-
shift to DeSantis, but
And
whatever.
I'm not saying that part. I'm
Yeah.
talking about Trump. Okay, everything goes away on Trump, and they would probably, and you might even have His Highness wake up long enough to sign a pardon and go back to sleep again, just to get it to.
I think we should go with El Presidente, because it is turning into a banana republic at this point.
He's a banana, and I would like to tell you where he can shove it.
Here's my point, the point you missed.
Thank you.
It's not about indicting Biden or finding him guilty or any of that. It's about showing you're going to fight.
No, we've already said before that they can fight and lose.
Better to fight and lose than not fight at all.
But on this point, if you're going to fight and you want to win because you think you can win, it takes a little more timing and preparation to do that so you don't blow it and you end up people saying, well, you should have put him in jail, and look what you did. You blew it because you're incompetent.
I think it would be the exact opposite. Because one, you don't want them to win.
Oh, yeah, I do.
You want Biden taken out.
I want Biden taken out. I want his son taken out.
I have two words for you.
Camilla and Harris.
No, we don't want Biden taken out. We want him hurt.
Then I guarantee you she gets into the office, they will be calling the 25th Amendment people in a circle as she walks in and raises her hand.
You really think they would?
Oh, they got to get rid of her because she's scary.
Okay, so I'm having fun with this now. So let's assume that does happen.
Yeah.
Now you got Mayor Pete, probably.
No.
Or Newsom.
No.
Oh, who pray tell?
If you call the 25th Amendment, your next person is McCarthy.
Oh, that's not going to... No, they'll never
But that's the law.
The law, when did they ever follow the law?
When they have no choice.
Next you're going to tell me they don't go ballot harvesting.
No, they don't. They found a place in...
I don't think they would ever take Harris out knowing that, for real.
Well, the problem is McCarthy's sitting there. But
yeah,
they have to find... That's why Harris will never become vice president in the second term. She's gone.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's probably going to be Mayor Pete or one of them.
It could be Newsom. It could be Pete.
Newsom seems to be the new...
favorite son?
Slick Willie. Get it, pun intended.
Oh. Yeah, but Slick Willie at least kept his wife. He lost his wife to Mr. Trump Jr.
Yeah, that's true. I just think, again, it doesn't have to be that issue. Find an issue and just use their tactics. How many millions of dollars, how many hundreds of hours were spent on Russiagate? You think they didn't know it had nothing? It was a nothing burger from day one. It wasn't about indicting Trump or impeaching him. It's just enough to keep hurting him because a year from now, you have an election.
Okay, but you're also forgetting to do that. It would be nice if you controlled the Unjustice Department.
You don't need them in this case.
You do need them if you want to put the evidence together because all you can do is, by our own Constitution, they can find issues, they can identify issues, and they refer to the Justice Department for action. Now,
but it's never going to get that far. Did Russiagate get that far?
Well, there was no validity.
Exactly
to it.
my point.
But with Trump and with Biden and $5 million, there's validity there. There's a real issue there.
We don't know yet, but yeah, fair
all
point.
Indications are that they are, and it's not something that you can say that was just made up in thin air by our FBI.
Bill, the FBI makes something up?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Come on. Next you're going to tell me the Hunter Biden laptop's real.
Unfortunately.
Which, by the way, I got told this week it's not real.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. It was a plant, and I responded to the person going, you do know Hunter Biden admitted it was his. And
they responded?
Oh, they responded. So then it was, well, maybe it was his. Now all of a sudden it wasn't his. Now maybe it was his, but they put the evidence on it, and I went, okay, and it just continued from that. The lunacy of it.
There are always crazies out there.
But this isn't a crazy person. That's my point. This is not a crazy person. This is your 10 years ago Kennedy Democrat. They've shifted. I wouldn't call this person woke by any stretch. She's kind of in the middle I would call her the typical average Democrat now.
The-
It is so ingrained in her
The
now.
uninformed in the Democratic Party have
Useful
become
idiots.
the misinformed.
I call her the useful idiot. She's become a useful idiot.
And we're getting a 2-minute cut here, notice, so that's from her. She's the boss, remember?
She's trying to shut me up.
Which is commendable, by the way. I totally agree with that. But at this particular point, I really think you've got to look at it. You're talking about something they knew was fault, they could never do something with, versus something that, yes, if everything's followed through, someone might go to jail.
I get your point. Biden's never going to jail, first of all. Joe. Hunter, I could see possibly. My point is they need to step up. Pick anything, Bill. I don't care what it is.
26 different investigations.
Pick one of them.
They're doing that.
No. Publicly.
It's difficult to do public when the public isn't covered by the mass media.
Oh, here we go with that one again. We
No,
just had this
it's a
discussion.
fact.
All you got to do is follow social media. Mass media doesn't exist anymore. Stop it. Stop going to that old, tired excuse.
Oh, here we go. They may be useless,
Who
and they
cares?
may be lying.
Who cares
but it's
if
still
NBC
the judgment
covers
that 40% of the country follows, and it's time now to say,
He's trying to get the last word. Just remember who
time
does
now-
the editing.
yeah, no, I've lost this case before we even started. But anyway, it's time for us to say, hang in there. We'll be talking to you again shortly on Reclaiming America. Welcome back, everybody. We have another segment of the show we're going to do, which is your feedback. We actually do get some comments online for the comments that we put out there. And, you know,
Oh, we
Dan's
get
going
some
to share them with
comments.
you.
Oh, we get some comments.
And
Some
not
are
all
good.
of them are positive as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, but they are hilarious in some
Oh,
cases.
that's fine.
But I'm going to start. So I'm pulling from both our YouTube channel, the comments, and on our TikTok. Interesting thing I noticed, though. In general, the YouTube comments are more respectful. The TikTok ones are not so respectful. I don't know why that's different, but it was just an interesting observation on my part.
I would bet you it's the age of the people.
That would be my contention too. So yes, I think because TikTok skews basically under 30, YouTube is old people.
Which is why you're on it.
I'm on it a lot. All right, so
He said that, I did not.
I'm going to read a bunch of ones that have come in just this week. All right, so you're reporting from the GOP convention. You got a good to know and basically a thank you from Sarah G. I'm going to shrink some of these names down because I'm not going to read a bunch of things. All right, state of emergency in public education you talked about. I'm being polite.
You're the governor.
Governor Milquetoast declared a phony state of emergency.
Right.
And then Joseph Berlin, I hope I'm saying that right. Which school is a better school? One that presses Christianity and false believe with no facts, or a school that teaches facts no matter your religion or belief? I'm reading these verbatim, people. So I believe what he's trying to say is, should we have a public school because, in his opinion, they do teach facts, whereas
He thinks religious schools are indoctrinating you.
basically. What would your response to that be?
Oh, I would have you take a look at our public schools today and see what they're teaching, and then compare it to what the values that are coming out. Which those values, by the way, in a Christian school are Judeo-Christian values. Even if you go to the Muslim community, a lot of them will survive in there because the beliefs are very similar. So I would think that maybe you need to rethink where you're coming from.
My point on that would be, if you want to see who's actually doing the indoctrinating, it's not the charter schools, private schools, whatever you want to call them. Same person on your Bank of America video. That one's a couple weeks old.
Yeah.
Where, just to sum it up, basically Bank of America was giving personal information to the government.
Without being required to do, just volunteering that information.
His response to that is, when you start a bank account that you signed many different documents, one document is allowing the federal government can collect the data of your banking information at any time for any reason. So he's claiming that it's part of the paperwork of your bank account. You are signing away your rights. I'm paraphrasing what he said.
But the difference is, again, the government didn't ask for it. It was volunteered. And there is a difference.
And even if the government asked for it, shouldn't they be required to
Have a reason to?
subpoena
All the
or
above.
whatever, you know?
But in this particular case, Bank of America was just jumping ahead of everything and trying to be Mr. Nice Guy to the Democratic Party and their leadership in Washington.
This person's really popular with you, Bill. Another one. This is on your debt crisis. This is a little out of date. The debt ceiling crisis. You were talking about different facts. Negotiating in good faith means bring stuff to the table. I'm reading these verbatim. That can actually shrink the debt, at the same time not harming our lower class citizens, like cutting defense budget, ending corporate welfare, putting term limits on government officials, raise taxes on anyone that's making over 50 million and up, where the pay the same rate as the average person, which is 22, make it illegal for government workers, do not be allowed to day trade, do inside trading.
So if what I hear this man saying is he wants a flat tax, so that everybody pays the same thing. Thank you, I support that.
You know, the main takeaway I had on that particular comment is these are all the standard bullet points you hear from the Democratic Party, but when you actually hold them up to the light about the reality of them, like why are we saying raise taxes on anyone that's making over 50 million and up? Why not 1 million? Oh, wait, Bernie makes more than $1 million. Remember? It used to be we got to tax the millionaires. Now he says it's the billionaires.
Wow.
You know, and oh, by the way, wasn't there a certain presidential candidate that said he would never raise taxes on anyone making more than
$400,000, under $400,000
Yeah.
or something along that line.
How'd that hold up?
About
as much as I'm going to unify the country. Same person on your law enforcement celebration where you were saying positive things about who's calling for the defunding of the police. Isn't it Republicans going after the FBI?
Surprise! The Republicans and the FBI are not police. The police that they're going after are the ones that work in your community. And we do have a problem with the FBI that needs to be straightened out, but not with the average FBI person. It's with the leadership that's weaponized the thing. But again, if you're talking about defunding the police, Republicans do not want to take the money away from the police officers in your community. The Democrats do. So, nice try.
Good topics, though. All right, Biden and the airlines. Remember that one? Donald Trump is the one that added the largest amount of debt to our economy.
No.
Wait, let me finish. I'm going to jump on this one, too. And Joe
Okay,
Biden
you got
has
this
paid
one.
the most on debt than any other president ever. I'll let you go first.
No, just go ahead, because first of all, there's only one third that comes to my mind. The word is lies. I'm done.
Ooh. So first of all, it wasn't Donald Trump that added to the debt. It was Congress that voted all that debt in. Who was in charge of Congress in 2020, Bill?
I believe it rhymes with Democrats.
Yeah. So to blame Donald Trump for it when it was the Democratic Party who voted it in both houses, I might add, is a bit much. As for Biden paying the most on the debt, if that's true, then how come it went up?
Brains were dynamite. Some people couldn't blow their
just
noses.
saying. All right. Title 42 ends. So you fill out proper paperwork to become a U.S. citizen. And what is wrong with that? Same person. Now on this, I happen to agree with you. Fill out the paperwork, become a citizen. I'm all for it.
But stay in the other country till you get accepted to
But
be
do the
there.
proper, actually fill out the paperwork. That would be a first. You're going to like this one. This
I'm
is
sure.
from Renee Terrell, 2539.
Oh, somebody different anyway.
When you reported on Mr. DeSantis' speech.
Oh.
And I quote, how much did Ron pay you?
Nothing. Probably half of what you get paid by the Democratic Party to come out with these points. Thank you. But no, the answer is nothing.
Oh, might I digress for a moment?
You may have a great time.
So there is a guy on TikTok. His name is Harry. And he has been for the better part of 3 years spewing vile towards the Republicans and cheering everything the Democrats do. Until about 2 months ago. when he got found out that he was on the payroll of a company that is bankrolled by the Democratic National Committee. So all his neutrality got exposed. I'm trying to be polite here. And, he got savaged. It was great. Check him out, Harry, on TikTok. You'll die laughing. All right, destruction of small businesses. Bill and I had a little give and take on that.
Right, I gave and he
I
took.
won.
We'll debate that somewhere
Actually,
down
I
the
can
road.
show you the numbers. This gentleman, Larry Moore, chimed in. And I want to read that off. Small businesses have always been left on their own to survive. Ever tried to get a small business loan? Next to impossible. I like Larry for a reason. Why don't you reveal who Larry is?
Larry is actually my brother who lives in Oklahoma, and he does have a small business, and he's been running it for years. He's also right sick right now, so we are wishing him well, and we hope that he continues to watch the show, and maybe somewhere down the road we'll bring him on as a guest.
That would be awesome, and I wish you well, Larry. Speedy recovery. And to his point, yes, it is very hard, by the way, to get a small business loan. I have had success doing that in the past.
But that was some Uncle Cheek for $30,000. And our executive producer,
she
Greta,
makes
Larry,
sense,
wishes you well, and she's looking forward to you recovering and continue to follow us and share our information with everybody. So,
yeah, add that.
and even Henry likes you.
Go check out the give and take on Bill and I did on the small business thing. It's pretty good, actually. One other one that Larry contributed on, I'm skipping a couple, but I do want to get this. When we were talking about whether the Republicans, whether Democrats would do anything with Biden as far as replacing him as candidate, Larry said, I don't believe the Democrats will do anything to Biden this term because look who is next in line. Same argument
Same
we
thing
made
you
earlier.
gave. Yeah. Which just shows you that we're very weird.
So that's them. Now let's get to the fun part.
Remember, that was the good stuff on YouTube.
But relatively speaking, there was disagreement, but I appreciate the
And
tone of it.
there was intelligent thought in most of it.
Yes. It was not personal attacks.
Right, but we're going to fix that right now.
Now we're going over to TikTok.
We can fix that right now.
And I have so many to read, I'm going to narrow it down some. So in regard to your DeSantis video again.
Oh.
Patrick Joyce 729. You're so full of shit. That was the whole thing. Your response? Look at the face.
It has been my experience that when you have a debate, if you have to fall back and use four-letter words, you've already lost the debate. So, sir, when you figure out some real sentences and words that might defend your point, give me a call. Otherwise, go turn to somebody else.
Okay. Maker's Mark 660 said to Bill, hey, drink the Kool-Aid, spelled wrong. You're beyond saving.
Tell me go to AA.
What was that?
Go to AAA.
Go to AA.
Yep.
I'm having fun with this.
Yeah, we can have some good.
All right, here's one. Now, this is interesting. Watching you NC GOP is the screen name or the account name. We have bad Republicans like Watley, Page, and others in NC. Don't be fooled. Go check out the video we released talking about the convention. But any takes on that?
Well, yeah, there are good and bad people, but you know something? You need to remember the oldest line from Reagan, which actually makes the sense most of the time. If you agree with a person 80% of the time, that's your candidate. So therefore, nobody agrees with you 100% of the time, except maybe the mirror. And I know if you're married, that don't work. I guarantee that part. And Dan and I don't agree with each other 100% of the time, and
No, we
I
don't.
respect when he's wrong.
Maker's Mark returns. From SoFlo, so Southern Florida. Liar, liar, liar. We hate Ron DeSatan, spelled wrong. We put DeSatin, but we'll go with DeSatan. Bully, worst politician. Florida's a shithole with sunshine.
And yet, when he ran the first time, if I remember correctly, he won by 50,000 votes. When he ran the second time, he won by 1.5 million. So maybe you're in the minority, sir, and maybe you ought to look around and check the cooking, because something's cooking down there that everybody seems to like.
Along those lines, this is where I'm having fun. David Spike, 70, from a native Floridian. He is the worst thing Florida has ever experienced. And then you replied saying that
I
know
did.
many native Floridians who say he's the best thing that ever happened. And I do. And the fact is he just won re-election by a decent margin. So obviously more support him than don't. Hold on, I got to switch to a different video now. But I like reading some of these takes because I like having you respond to them.
Oh, yes, you do. And you're enjoying the fact that...
I love every minute of it. And hopefully it's entertaining. All right, from 8H, and I am not reading the string of letters and numbers after that. Christie is running. This is on the Christie video you did. Christie is running for himself. Doesn't have to be some conspiracy. Most people hate Drumpf, including the GOP.
I don't even know what you said, sir. So I can't even know. But Christie's running for himself. The man couldn't walk across the street without getting heartache. So that ain't working. So Christie is there for one sole purpose, and that's to try to take down Trump and maybe DeSantis down the road. But I'm telling you right now, he's got as much chance of winning as I got of being a 110-pound weekend in the morning. So let's go there.
From School Back in Session, which is, by the way, I love these accounts that have no picture or nothing, no followers or anything, because you know they're
back in session.
Yeah, they're bot accounts. You're all garbage. Go away. Now, somebody posted from us, replied, said, so much for tolerance and inclusivity, but I don't know who that might have been.
Man's been living in his cafeteria too
Any
long.
thoughts on being garbage, Bill?
Yeah, he lives in the cafeteria. You should go to the classroom.
And then the one we'll make this the final one. This is an interesting take on all of this stuff. So
Here we go. An interesting take.
Yeah, it was interesting because I think it really illustrates the mindset, if you will, that's out there. So again, I'm circling back to when you were talking about DeSantis, and we had a gentleman named Buddy Vallis respond.
Buddy Vallis?
Vallis, Valles.
V-A-L-L, okay, Vallis.
Respond saying he, meaning DeSantis, is sending migrants all over America. He is a trafficker. Now, there was an exchange that went on, and that was me doing the replies, but I wanted to get your take on that particular claim.
Well, I think DeSantis and Abbott from Texas is just sharing the wealth. If you're one of these states or one of these cities that claimed you're a sanctuary city, then, share the wealth. Texas doesn't want all these people coming aboard illegal, neither does Florida. So if they're shipping them up to where you live and you're a sanctuary city, you should be welcoming them with open arms, setting them up, taking care of them, and unfortunately, that's not happening. If you take a look at what went on in,
Martha's Vineyard, New York City, Washington,
they couldn't wait to get those 440 people out of there, and they went to, I think they took them to the military base there to get rid of them because it was going to be a crisis. New York City is screaming for more money to handle all these people, and the people of New York City are screaming, "You're taking away our schools, turning them into centers to hold migrants. Our neighborhoods don't want the migrants next to them, and that's the minorities talking." So you know what? You're all wet, sir. Have a good one.
If you want to see the interesting exchange that occurred, I want to read some of it because I have to.
Because you did it.
Because I did it.
Yeah.
All right. So I replied to that a little different than Bill. So again, he called DeSantis a trafficker, and I said, okay, so you then agree that the Biden administration sending migrants all over makes them and every Democrat traffickers as well.
Good point.
First response from him, so you are okay with it as long as Biden is doing it. What kind of logic is that? I never said that I was okay with it, but they had to assign that to me because that's what they do, right? And my reply was, I never said that. You did by not calling out Biden doing it. Don't project onto me your beliefs in support of Biden doing it.
Fair.
Fair point, right? To which, and this is where it gets spicy, the reply was, okay, name one place Biden sent migrants.
That's easy.
Mind you, this was 3 days ago.
Long Island.
Go ahead.
I can't even. Do you watch the news, sir? MSNBC.
I can answer that for you.
No.
So,
MSNBC is not the news.
Midnight flights.
so I replied, and I freely admit it was me. If you don't know where they're going, then you've lost all credibility. There's overwhelming video and other proof of where they're being sent. And then I went on overnight flights, you might want to get educated and not watch MSNBC. I might have got a little spicy there myself.
If you get a chance, take a look at Westchester County with the flights coming in at 2 in the morning, where they're offloading migrants and having them disappear. And those were planes that were not hired by DeSantis. They were Fed planes. So they're going all across the country. They're going into areas that they don't want you to know about. They offload the migrants. They give them a phone, because you can't survive without a phone. And they give them a note that says, in about 4 years, if you're available, come visit us in Texas, and we'll give you a trial. That ain't happening either.
But it gets better, Bill.
Oh, good.
So he challenged me, saying you can't prove it. Oh, silly little man. So I sent him one article from the National Review. Now, mind you, there were dozens of articles to choose from, and I could have picked something like Fox or the New York Post, but no, I purposely avoided all of them. I thought about using the CNN one, but I thought National Review was kind of in the middle as, media goes. So I sent him that. I got to find it. So, there was a little give and take on, the response. That story is 2 years old. DeSantis did it last week. So I'm going to sum this up by saying, if you think that trafficking is bad now, but it was okay 2 years ago, you just lost, as I said earlier, all credibility. All credibility.
Yeah, take a chance and look at the first couple of executive orders the man signed when he sat down. He caused all of this. So if you don't believe that, go read them.
It's kind of like the people who were upset that Trump had children in cages, when the reality was the pictures they were using to illustrate it were actually from the Obama administration.
That's correct.
It's ridiculous. But I just wanted to have a little fun with it and close with that little...
I think we like the comments. We like to have some dissertation with you. It would be nice if you came armed. But, if you...
Careful, you're going to get us in trouble
come
with
armed, at least write to us and we can then make fun of you. Because if you're not going to give us a great argument or an argument that makes sense, we are going to make fun of you.
And on a serious note, you're entitled to your beliefs. And if you're going to challenge someone who has a different belief than you do, demand proof, and then are handed the proof, and you can't acknowledge it.
Be man or woman enough to admit you were wrong and at least look at it. That's all. And that we're fine with that. Because we have no problem with providing you with information, but we would like to acknowledge the fact when we are right.
But this is a perfect illustration.
And by the way, if you think we're wrong and you can prove to us we're wrong, we'll even admit that. But I can't wait to see.
I will read it out loud.
Yep, and we'll come here and we will actually admit that we're wrong. I don't plan on that anytime soon, but we'll see.
Well, you'll never admit you're wrong, but I will.
I will admit when you're wrong all the time.
But that whole exchange, and you can go read it on TikTok, but it drives the point home yet again. You cannot really reason with that mindset.
Nope.
When you literally hand them video proof. It's just like, and we talked about this off air, Biden said in 2021, July 2021, that if you got the vax, you could not get COVID. You could not transmit COVID. He has never retracted that statement. It's still out there, and people deny it. I've sent, I don't know how many people. Here's the video of him saying it. He never said that. There's the video. Yeah, but he didn't say that. He literally verbatim said it.
You heard his answer today was when someone asked him about, are you involved with the $5 million?
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
And you're also a wise guy.
Yeah. So, again, it just, forgetting all of the individuality here, but it just speaks to what I say over and over again. You can't reason with this mindset. Where do we go from here? And I'll leave it at that.
Yep. I have a more positive viewpoint that they're not a majority, and many of them can be saved with education. But unfortunately, we created some of this with everybody gets a trophy and all those kind of things that go with it because they can't lose. And they can't, if they're wrong, they go nuts.
Would you agree that if 10, 15, 20% of the population, wherever that number falls, continue down this path, do you think the country survives?
Yeah, because I think we can reinstitute some of those numbers that I go back to Kennedy. Okay. If you look at Kennedy when he went after the mental illness issues in the nation, and there were a lot then, and especially in institutions, there were roughly 100 and maybe 180 million people in our country then, and there were like 500,000 or maybe 600,000 people in mental institutions. Now there are 20,000. And we
That's a
have
fair
doubled,
point.
and we've almost doubled.
I don't think they're. If you've got that population is never going to change their mind. That 10, let's use 10%,
But
and they're going to cause problems for as long as we
but
can.
we've always had people that want
Not-
to get.
I agree with you. There's always been the fringes and the extremes, but they have their soapbox.
But we also don't know that their numbers are. For example, if you would listen to most people on television, when you get into the transgender issue, you think it's 10% of the population.
Oh no,
It's not even half of one half of one half of
It's a
1%.
fraction of a percent. I was just going to say.
Yeah. So, but we allow them the ability to do that. And speaking on that, you did see that Budweiser has finally the new numbers came out, and they are no longer the number one beer. For Bud Light has been taken after 22 years.
but
They have
what's
lost their
interesting, did
number
you see
one
what-
beer.
what took
Modelo.
What the hell is Modelo? I've never even heard of it.
It's the number one beer.
If it's number one, where the hell is that coming from? If it had been Coors Light, Miller Light, any one of those,
I don't know. I can't give you an answer.
I can
but
honestly say I've not only
Sorry?
never had,
Mexico.
It comes from Mexico.
but I've
So our
never
producer
had a
knows that.
Modelo in my life, and I don't drink. But
Well,
I've
then
never
it's
even,
difficult to have a Modelo if you don't drink.
I've never even heard of it though.
Well,
I'm
it's a
naive.
Mexican beer.
I freely admit I'm naive. Okay, I can think of other Mexican beers. I thought
Well, there are also several beers in China that actually outsell them, but they're not in the station.
it's that one kind of that was the shock to me.
I
was
believe the number one beer in the world is something called Snow. It's a Chinese beer.
good. Well, they have a few.
They have a few billion
100
people
million
watching
more
it.
than we do, but I just found that interesting. And oh, by the way, Anheuser-Busch owns that one too.
Yeah, and there are. Yet we still have people trying to go out there and not learn from it.
True.
You got to learn that there are people that will put up with certain things, but when you stick something in their face, they're coming to get you. And you know what's been great? I heard some. Let me say not the brightest bulb in the marquee talking today, and they were talking about the fact Republicans do everything. They do boycotts and they shut down these great stores and companies. Well, guys, you started it first. Think of Chick-fil-A. The problem was you couldn't do it right on our side of the house. If we set out to do it, it's going to happen.
Well, they have had some successes, but yeah, it's interesting how.
Name one.
Um,
Yeah, I thought so.
no,
I
can't-
rest my case.
Give me a minute. You caught me on the spot there. The point being on all of that is, it's funny how they set these rules. They set the rules of the game, if you will. And finally, we're using their rules. We're playing the game by their rules.
And that's a problem.
And now they're upset about it.
And the other problem is we play better than they do.
But even the fact that we're playing by the same rules upsets them. It's rules
Well,
for
they don't
thee
mind.
and
They
not
don't
for
mind
me.
playing as long as you lose. But when you win, and you steal their ideas, it's a problem.
And that's why I say the new Republican platform should be whatever you do, we're going to do better. Take that to the next convention.
Oh, God help us. Anything you
Even the
can do, I
producer-
can do better.
Yeah.
Here's a song. We can make that our.
That becomes the platform. Anything you do, we're going to do too,
But we'll do
but
it better.
we're going to do it better. And you know what?
Do you remember that song? Anything you can
well,
do, I can do better.
But you know what? There would be a landslide in the elections.
I'm not even going. It's time to say
On that
goodnight,
note,
everybody.
Even the producer's cracking up on that one.
We will be looking forward to talking to you next week, and I'll be doing a little bit remote, but I'll still be with you guys because I have to do some work in Oklahoma, or my God, Oklahoma.
God-fearing country out
Yeah,
there.
it is. Yet they have some of the biggest marijuana industries you've ever seen.
I have never been to Oklahoma.
It's
All I
talk about
picture
the
is
word
a bunch
flat.
of cows.
It's flat as you've ever seen.
Cows and prairie, right?
Out there, if you have I guess Acme could be considered a major mountain range out in Oklahoma. That is flat.
We're not knocking them in any way.
And they have when I was there this week before I head back, the temperatures were pushing 100.
Yeah, they get pretty warm out there.
Yep, they do. And they
That
also
I do know.
And they do also have wonderful little temperature changes, things called tornadoes and things like that come around, change everything. And they can change your whole household.
That's a subject for another show, Bill.
That is true. But
right.
I will tell you about Oklahoma on our next visit.
All right. So, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and
And we'll try to close off. We tried this 3 times so far, and every time we go,
we'll close it out on that.
So anyway,
See you
thanks
next time.
everybody. We'll see you next time.